Okay, it says we're live here. All right, guys, this is Big Man Alaska. I live up here in Anchorage, Alaska. And today's live stream, I've never done this before, and I don't know exactly how all the controls work. So just bear with me as we go. But yeah, the title says uh, my battles with sleep apnea, obesity, and weight loss, and all that. So yeah, this is something new, and I'm not exactly sure how well this mic is working at the time, but I hope everything is working okay. And let's see here. So, anyways, let's talk about my sleep apnea. Now, I didn't know I had sleep apnea until just before the pandemic began. And I was already pretty heavy at that time. I believe my weight was around 389 pounds. And I was struggling. I was working at the post office delivering mail and moving trailers around in the parking lot. And that's basically everything I would do for the post office. So I was busy in and out of the building. I was pretty active, but I was still a really, really big guy and a lot bigger than I am now. Thankfully, I'm glad I lost the weight. But the entire time I was working there, my weight would go up and down depending on the seasons. So I'd be, down to about 350, and then I go right back up to about 389, right around 395. And I was just hovering there. And it was a struggle. Everything about it was a struggle. And I just couldn't get my weight in line. I thought I was eating right. I thought I was doing good. My wife always said that I was really conscious of everything that I would eat. And yeah, hopefully I was doing okay, but I wasn't doing great. I was ordering a lot of pizzas, especially throughout the pandemic when we found out foods and stuff like that were safe to order because we just didn't know. We're kind of isolated from the rest of the country. COVID was sweeping across the country. It was pretty much in like New York City, and then we were just watching the little red blob move across the map, and it was quite disturbing to see that. So that added a ton of stress on our lives, and I was considerably overweight already. I was already worried about getting sick because I knew I was fat. I knew I was over 300 pounds. I've been over 300 pounds for more years than I care to admit. It's just been a hard time. So, yeah, it was pretty rough there for a while. So, because we just didn't know what was safe to do, we didn't know, uh, certain things we were allowed to do at that time. Now, I was issued a piece of paper by the Postal Service saying that I was an essential worker. Now, these essential worker papers went out to everybody that had, uh, specific access to, government type jobs, like working at the post office, for instance. So these are jobs that had to go on no matter what was going on. And there were people getting sick around here. But that, yeah, like I said, that was adding towards our stress. That was also adding towards our isolation, our depression, and stuff like that. And meanwhile, my sleep apnea was getting worse and worse. Later on that spring, we decided we wanted to get out of the rental property we were in, and we bought this trailer home right here. Now, we bought this place for cash. And while the pandemic was going on, I was just getting as moneyed up as possible because I had a problem and I knew it. And I was hiding it from my wife. I was hiding it from my children. And I feel bad about that. But the problem wasn't so much that, it was that I was having all kinds of health issues while that was going on. So, speed up ahead a little bit through the winter time. And now we're in like April, May, or July, or somewhere in there. And that's when we bought this place and started moving in. But my issues with sleep apnea were just evolving, and they were coming at a rapid pace. So my wife said before that I would snore a lot, and sometimes I'd stop breathing in my sleep. Now, I'm a pretty smart guy, and I used to work for a company called Geneva Woods here in Anchorage, and that's a place where my job was literally to be a go tech. I used to deliver pharmaceuticals. I would deliver DME products and stuff like that, and I would train patients on how to use things like oxygen concentrators. I do medical bed setups and stuff like that. So it was one of those things that was just crazy to me to think that I would let sleep apnea, something like that, sneak up on me. And I had really no idea that it was going to be, such a problem. And I thought it was something I was going to be able to just handle all by myself. And that was the furthest thing from the truth. So as time went on, after we were living in this home right here, I was moving around and sleeping on several different beds. Now we had to go, uh, we had this one bed, it was a queen bed, and that bed's been with us in a couple different homes now, but it felt funny. And my obesity didn't help because the way the bed was built, made me feel like my back was going out all the time. And I just didn't understand what was going on. And not only that, I was constantly waking up like all through the night. I had to pee at times during this process of every 45 minutes. And it wasn't just a little pee. It was a lot of pee. I mean, I was peeing out like gallons of water. I mean, I was already fat. I had a lot of water retention. What was building up in there needed to come out anyways. But as fast forward a ways, and I found out that my constant urination issues, which I thought were, prostate cancer. I thought I had cancer. I thought I had colon cancer. I thought I had some sort of cancer, and I was scared. I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to talk to doctors. I didn't want to talk to my wife. I didn't want to talk to anybody about it. I was just isolated inside my own head after being isolated for several months throughout the pandemic. And now summer's here, and I'm having a hard time breathing at night, and I'm not exactly 100% aware. My brain's not working correctly because according to my doctor at the sleep clinic, she said I was only getting approximately 45 minutes of somewhat okay sleep. That was really disturbed. I was probably getting that for over a year. And yeah, I was completely starving myself. And help me, buddy. Hey, how you doing? Help me, buddy. Anyways, I don't know what that means. So you're going to have to be more specific as to what you need help with. But yeah, I was trying to figure out exactly what my problem was, not knowing what my problem was while I was hiding my problem. So it just didn't work out. It was kind of horrible. Like I said, I was dead set in thinking that certain beds were trying to kill me because when I slept in our new bed, I would keep waking up and having all these issues and having to get up and urinate. And I felt like, my neck was kinked and I just couldn't breathe, but still I wasn't smart enough at that time to put two and two together. Yeah, it was crazy. So, and sometimes I would find myself sleeping on my daughter's bunk bed, which has like a 6-inch memory foam mattress. And I would just sleep there because I was really, really morbidly obese and I had to get up and pee a lot. And I would reach up and I would grab the upper part of the bunk bed when I couldn't breathe. And I would be able to just sit up quickly and catch my breath. But I still didn't put two and two together, even at that time, that I was literally suffocating at night. And I could barely feel my feet. They were so swollen. So getting up and trying to get my slippers on quick enough before I felt the urge to pee my pants and, waddle into the bathroom uncomfortably was horrible. And, over time I did get a hold of my doctor and I talked to my doctors about the whole situation. So we set up an appointment. I got in there. Hey buddy, how you doing? The carnivore cure is in the room. I really appreciate you guys. And I really wish I could get involved a whole lot more with you guys. Unfortunately, scheduling is an issue. Right now, I'm just talking about my huge issues I had with sleep apnea and how it almost killed me. And we're just going to go from there. So I'm just going to pick up with the doctor's appointments. Yeah, I did finally get into a doctor's appointment. And it was a little concerning because he wanted to set me up with the sleep clinic there. Now I'm a native Alaskan, so we have services here in town, but not everything is paid for. People think that we just get things paid for 100%. Now having the service there is fantastic, but socialized healthcare, I would never ever suggest an entire country go on a socialized healthcare plan because it's good, but it's not the best. This is why we have a free country here and anybody can get insurance with anybody and you can be seen anywhere. There's a lot of people that fly into Alaska from Canada just to get the cancer treatment here at Providence Hospital. And also the Alaska Native Center has some pretty good cancer treatment as well. To get back on topic, yeah, I had an appointment at the sleep clinic and it was extremely hard for me to get into the clinic because of COVID. COVID's still going on. So that's an issue. And when you're trying to do a sleep study, you're laying in a strange bed and you got a mask on your face, blowing air. You got all the nurses in the building are all masked up and they're scared of COVID too. And they don't like the mandates and the restrictions and all the rules. So everybody's cranky. And then there's me, the big fat guy with sleep apnea that hasn't slept, in the last year. And if I did sleep, I got about 45 minutes a night. So the sleep that I was getting was absolutely horrible. Now, when I put I sat down at the clinic and I'm in this room and I didn't really have any preparation to figure out what to expect when I got there. So it's kind of like a hotel room. It's got a big TV and you got a way to just, kind of chill out. And there's a phone and a really nice bathroom and shower inside the place, which was nice. And it had a sleep number bed. And I had to do a couple of these sleep studies, but the first one was by far one of the worst. The second one wasn't fun either. But the first one, they put the CPAP on and I just could not keep it on my face. I was claustrophobic. The air was rushing into my face and I couldn't handle that amount of pressure pushing into my face. I didn't know what the pressure setting was. I didn't know anything about the whole ordeal of anything CPAP related, but I knew that they could possibly help me sleep better. So I was like, man, I'm just going to struggle with this. I put the mask on and I'm just holding it on my face and I'm just trying to keep it on. At the same time, my instinct is to hold my breath. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. You got to breathe in order for the CPAP to work. But my lungs were so damaged over at least a year of having severe sleep apnea that I just could not breathe correctly. Hey, Carnivore Cure, if you're in there, can you tell me if the audio is okay? Because I don't have any feedback on this end, and I have a little tiny green meter here, but that would be helpful. Just to let me know if the image quality is good and if we have halfway decent audio. Limitless Lindy, thank you for coming in here. Wow, thank you. Oh, Carnivore Cure, I appreciate that. But okay, let's get back to where I was. I was in my initial sleep apnea sleep study. And I put the mask on and I struggled and I fought with it. I had to lay down in a bed and it was somewhat of an uncomfortable room, even though it was a very, very expensive bed. Now, this bed was something that, you would find in like a sci-fi movie. It had all these little numbers and stuff you could press to make it comfortable. But unfortunately, the people that were running the place didn't know exactly how it worked, if the numbers were supposed to go up or the numbers were supposed to go down. And I was so heavy that I think I was just overloading the bed and I was sleeping on a flat mattress, which was horribly uncomfortable. So my sides were falling asleep and I got this mask on my face, blowing in my face. I couldn't sleep on my back at that time because of my apnea. Even with the mask on, if I was sleeping on my back, my neck would be down like this and my chin would be just suffocating me to death. So I had to sleep on my side, my arm up like this, my head propped up just perfectly in order to get any rest whatsoever, even with the CPAP mask on. And that carried on to when I came home. But so I made it through the sleep study. I woke up numerous times and I'm just covered in all this goo on my head. And all these sensors and wires, and they run down through your pants and your pajamas. And it's just, you just feel like a wired up freaking turd. And you're like, wow, I don't want to be here. I don't like this. This is an uncomfortable feeling. And I couldn't imagine being a child and having to go through all that because it was stressful for me and I'm an adult. But yeah, so after the sleep test was done, they said I had an AHI of over 96. Now, I tried to do some research and find out what the highest AHI was that was ever recorded. And it's something like around 120. That's as far as I've ever been able to find for the AHI. Let's see if we can get a little better angle, maybe kind of looking up at the ceiling. But it was just overwhelming. And then after that was over, I had to take all these goopy little things off, and I got a nice little to-go bag with my mask in it because you can only use the mask one time. They're not supposed to reuse the mask or the hose. So every time I went and got a sleep study, I got a brand new mask and I got a brand new hose. and I got several sample masks to take home, which was great. I got about 15, maybe 15, 20 CPAP masks sitting in my bedroom. A lot of them I don't use because they just don't fit my face. At that time, they might fit my face now that I lost a lot of the weight and slendered down a lot. But yeah, okay. So yeah, after that, I got done taking off all the goopy stuff, and they have this little bathroom. You can go in there and take a shower and stuff like that, get yourself ready for work. Now, at this time, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't sleep. I mean, I didn't feel like I slept. They said I slept for 45 minutes solid, and that was enough to give them some numbers for a base prescription. Then they said I had to come back again and get another sleep study done because somehow those numbers got jumbled up or lost or something. I don't know, but I did get a base prescription that day, and I was struggling hard. Now the problem is, even being Alaskan Native, yeah, the sleep study was covered, and this was a private. This is attached to the Alaskan Native tribal, grounds, but I believe it's a private company that's on the ground that we use. So the Native people are paying for the use of the sleep clinic, which is amazing. But we all know CPAPs are expensive. And at that time, some of these CPAPs were just base units were like $1,200, $1,500 when you look online and you try to search around for them. So there's the next problem. Was after the sleep study was done, I had to wait. It was like 30 days before I could get an appointment just to get the prescription. So I didn't even have a prescription. Now, at that point, I knew I needed a CPAP. I needed it now. So I was turning to all of these YouTube channels, trying to find out as much information as I could about CPAPs, the technology, what kind of CPAPs I might need. The clinic said I might need a BiPAP, and I didn't know much about a BiPAP. And a BiPAP is just like this weird little rhythm, and that didn't work for me. I went out and I got on Facebook, and I just put out a Mayday on Facebook. I'm like, hey, anybody out there have a CPAP for sale? I have severe sleep apnea, and I had no idea I would get this many of you in the room at this time. This is beautiful. I like this. But I had no idea that these people would actually come to my aid. I mean, I was praying to God. I was like, please help me. I need a CPAP. I didn't have a prescription. I can't just go down and buy a CPAP. So here's the problem with all of this, is that these people that have severe sleep apnea, they could be airplane pilots. I'm a truck driver. I needed that CPAP today, not in 30 days to get a prescription and then wait another 15 days to get it shipped to Alaska, because this is just how it works. I don't like the providers in the area because I used to work along kind of side them because I worked for Geneva Woods Pharmacy. So I knew all of the other suppliers in town, and some of them I just didn't care for because they have unethical practices, and I don't want to support that. But yeah, so eventually 2 different people came to my rescue, and I wound up paying $200 for a Philips device. And so I bought that right away. It was a Dream Station. It's a little white thing. And then I found a BiPAP from another lady. Her husband passed away. And I used to do hospice and stuff like that. So I'm very thorough in taking things apart and cleaning it. So yeah, I had to disassemble both of these machines, disinfect everything, check them out. And not only that, so I had an old gray CPAP unit that Philips made as well. So, and that's the BiPAP. That's the most expensive one. I paid cash for both of these. I believe the first one was $200. The second one, I think, was like $150. She might have gave me a deal on it, but I used both of them. I tried the BiPAP, and this is just me at home experimenting, trying to get this thing set up. And this is why I got online and I tried to figure out, okay, how do I set these things up? Because now I have to break into the computer, and it's not that hard. Just little process to press a couple buttons and you're into the menu. You're into the medical menu that gets you to set up your product. And I also had experience setting these up through working for the pharmacy as well, because I had patients sometimes they would screw up with their machines. They try to play with them themselves, and then I'd ask them, say, hey, give me your prescription. I'll just do that. I'm not supposed to touch your stuff, but I'll I'll get you set up back to where you're supposed to be at least. And that way you can kind of go from there. But yeah, it was crazy. And then I was struggling with these machines, both these machines. The BiPAP would not, I couldn't use it at all. My breathing rhythm was so messed up that I was forgetting to breathe when I was awake. And I believe they got a special name for that. I can't remember it right now because I'm on the spot. I mean, it's kind of like trying to take a pee when you have an audience. It just doesn't work. But anyhow, yeah, I just couldn't breathe while I was awake at times. And then at the same time, I was having heart palpitations and stuff like that to go along with it because I just had so much weight on my body. I wasn't getting the right amount of sleep. Yeah, I just couldn't breathe at night. I was dying. I was literally dying. And before I got figured out on the whole CPAP and that it was going to work for me, I was putting money aside. I had a little fund for my wife and kids because I was that close to dying before I got treated and before I got a machine. It was crazy weird how all of this happened all at the same time. And after I got used to the machines, now I started using the Dream Station 2, and along with, not the Dream Station 2, it was the regular white Dream Station. I started using that and I got used to that. And all of a sudden I realized I'm starting to get these freaking headaches. And I'm like, why am I getting headaches? So I'm scouring around the internet, I'm looking for stuff. And all of a sudden I find out there's a recall on these Philips devices because some idiot thought it would be a good idea to put a carcinogenic foam in the airway for the patient. So when that foam breaks down, it goes straight into your lungs. It can cause cancer. It's actually killed a number of people. I did a couple videos about this because I was just so upset. They're not very good videos because remember, I was crazy obese. I could hardly talk. The videos are highly edited, and just doing some of these videos alone, I just couldn't ramble on like this until I got to actually this point today. This is the best I have done this entire time on YouTube, as far as having a conversation with a camera, trying to keep my content and my topics on point. And I'm just trying here. This is me coming out of my shell for being a morbidly obese guy that couldn't speak a sentence to save his life. And I couldn't carry on a conversation with anybody. My wife didn't like talking to me. I didn't like talking to my wife because when I tried to express myself, things just didn't come out right. All right, back to the sleep apnea thing. So yeah, that whole recall happened because Philips sucks. And anybody that has a Philips device, you need to just keep it as a spare and hopefully never use it. So yeah, I had to start taking these devices apart. And the first BiPAP, I took it apart, and the foam that was in the bottom of that, and it goes through the air filter and it goes straight across, the air comes straight across this crappy, yucky foam. And then it goes into the turbine and then out to the patient, which would be me. Now I took that foam out, and that foam was brittle. And I took a picture of it. I put it in one of the videos, but it was brittle and it was covered in dirt and dust, and it was falling apart. Now, this is a piece of foam that's not supposed to be removed. It's not supposed to be replaced by the patient. It's not the air filter. So it goes the air filter, that piece of foam, and then it goes on through the system. That's just the old machine. That's the old gray machine. So I took it out, cleaned it up, but I was like, oh, let's take this over and try to rinse it off. And I tried to rinse it off. And as soon as I got that black foam wet, it turned into these little black tiny specks that everybody's having a problem with. So I immediately got online, contacted all the CPAP doctors and everybody that I could think of, down in the lower 48, even in Australia. I was talking to people over there, and that's where I got some of the best advice I have ever been able to get is from Australia, because those CPAP doctors there don't have their hands tied with all the political garbage that goes on here in the United States, which is just for profit. Now, they do have their own little just for profit stuff going on there, but they're allowed to talk to me like they're a doctor over the internet. So it was beautiful. We had a beautiful relationship, and I was figuring out how to do all these things with these CPAPs and figure out for myself and basically self-prescribe my own prescription without having to get a prescription yet. So I was learning I had to get myself set up, and it was a lot of trial and error. So I was hitting a lot of bumps in the road because I wasn't 100% getting my machine set up exactly the way it should be until it took me 2 or 3 weeks. It was almost just before my appointment to go in to actually get a prescription for one of these devices. And in the meantime, I'm waiting on Amazon because my Dream Station, I had to order the silly freaking chamber that didn't have the foam in it because I took the chamber out and I'm looking at it and I'm like, wow, I have to literally get in here and try to figure out how to get that yucky foam out of there. And that was the second device that they added the carcinogenic foam to, and they also added it into the Trilogy 100 and the Trilogy 200 ventilators. They put the crappy foam in ventilators. I mean, there's several devices out there that had this foam in it that was giving people cancer and giving people problems and headaches and nausea and all kinds of issues while they're trying to sleep. Now, what really made me mad is that this stuff was in ventilators. These patients have to have a ventilator to breathe at all. I mean, they're on a ventilator just so they can continue breathing. I mean, I felt fortunate that I could breathe at all. And even though my breathing was just so messed up and I was overwhelmed with, everything that was going on and all the information that was there, just trying to get it all sorted out. And then when they came out with the fix, Philips came out with a fix for the foam. And over time, they did send me a new unit. Now they're still trying to replace that old gray unit. And I just gave up on them because, they wanted my doctor's information. I gave it to them. And now my doctor's not going to give them the information because there's a thing in place to not give out information like that to strangers, which would be Philips is a stranger, even though, they're distributing medical devices. So I was like, well, why wouldn't you just let me send you the prescription and just send me the device? But either way, I got one device, and I actually had to use that just recently because my ResMed AirSense 10 had a humidifier failure, which leaked down inside the machine, and all of a sudden it screwed up my machine. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy the crap I went through, the whole sleep apnea, and you have to have a CPAP if you have a neck that's too big and you're a truck driver or an airline pilot or a bus driver or anything like that. But then it's just you got to jump through hoops and a freaking headache to actually get the machine. So I'm looking at more than 60 days of time that I'm supposed to have a machine because I need to have a machine in order to drive a truck so I can get enough sleep. And then I have to go through the entire process of trying to learn how to use the machine and try to learn how to, just get used to it, because I would sleep with it so when I first started sleeping with the CPAP, it would be 45 minutes. Rip that sucker off. And I'm like, what the heck is wrong with me? And then, I'm still tired. All right, put that silly thing on my face, the muzzle, and you see these marks up here? That's from my CPAP mask right there. Because when you're sleeping real hard, it puts a lot of pressure on your face. Quite often, I was getting these red marks here. Thankfully, I haven't been getting those. I mean, I'm okay with these, whatever. I'm a full-grown man, happily married with a wonderful wife, so I can look ridiculous. I'm okay, but I had to practice with this machine to get used to it. And that was my biggest thing. If you're a CPAP user and you're struggling with CPAPs, you really have to practice to get good at using a CPAP, because it's really practice. It's just like these jet pilots. They're basically using a CPAP when you see them pull that thing across their mask and then they pull it off and talk, and then they put it on when they're getting at high altitudes and hitting heavy banks and stuff like that. That's basically just a CPAP inside there. Just pumping in the air, pumping in the oxygen if you need to. But same principle applies. But it takes practice to get used to that mask. And sometimes you have this tremendous claustrophobic type situation. Now when you're transitioning to getting used to a CPAP, I found that incredibly difficult. It wasn't easy. And I mean, I was in all of these social forums on Facebook and on YouTube, talking to, trying to figure out, and also working with other people that were just giving up. I mean, just man, if you're a CPAP user and you're frustrated, don't give up. Don't give up. Find a machine that works for you. Find the right mask, because when they send you home with a mask and say, this is your mask and you got to figure it out, you need to remember there's options out there. Unfortunately, these masks aren't always inexpensive, and they do require a prescription to buy at times. I mean, I bought some off of Amazon. They weren't the best. Now, I did some reviews on some masks, and I wasn't too happy with some of them because some of them were just brand new on the market. And I did have a hookup here in town that would just give me some of these CPAP masks, and it would just not work. My face would be too oily for the silicone because there was too much silicone on some of them, and others are just like the memory foam. Now, I thought the memory foam was going to be the winning mask for me for using my CPAP mask, but I put it on and it just created itchy feelings all around here and around my nose, and it just didn't feel like a healthy material to be touching my skin because it was automatically giving me irritation. And if I struggled through an entire night with it, it would leave red marks all the way around right here, and it was a struggle. Now, one of the other struggles I had trying to get used to the machine is now I'm actually getting some hours of sleep. So I first started off at 45 minutes, and that was pretty reliable. And then I'd have to get up, reset my mask because I tore it off in a panic, because you go into this fight or flight mode, when you're trying to transition into CPAP usage at times, because even though you're getting the air that's required, you still feel like you're suffocating at times. So I would get up, put the mask on, and eventually over time, my time started getting up to, now I'm sleeping for an hour. Now I'm sleeping for 2 hours. Now I'm sleeping for 3 hours straight, before I would rip the mask off again in a dramatic way. And I was struggling the whole time to try to learn how to use nasal masks. And it's weird because I don't have a deviated septum, but I still have a hard time breathing through my nose at times. And I'm still working on that, because the best sleep that I have ever gotten with a CPAP device was when I had a nasal mask that fit and I was able to sleep with my mouth closed. And yeah, I've tried chin straps, I've tried mouth tape, I've tried all kinds of different ideas to make it worthwhile and make it work. But sometimes you're just not going to hit it. You're not going to hit it right on the spot. But and some nights you're going to sleep well with the nasal mask, and other nights you're going to sleep better with a full face mask, especially when you're sick. So if your doctor's sending you home with just a nasal mask, you better have them send you home with a full face mask, because as soon as you get sick and you get the flu, you got a cold, and your sinuses just clog up, the CPAP's useless unless you have a full face mask, and you can cough into the mask. That's another thing. When I first started using CPAP, I was coughing up all this white caca in my lungs, and it was weird stuff. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know why I was coughing it up. And there were other people in these forums talking about this yucky white stuff. And the only thing I can think of is that while my lungs were healing, it was actually just helping get that crud out, because when you're suffocating yourself at night, your lungs actually kind of implode. Kind of like you're coughing, but they're kind of folded in a little bit, and that's damaging all that sensitive material in there. And then when you start breathing correctly, it starts to heal in time. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. And now that I've been losing the weight, my pressures went from I think I started out at a prescription pressure of 17, which is pretty high. I mean, that's like shoving a vacuum cleaner in somebody's face and just turning that sucker on full blast. So it was a lot of pressure pushing in my face, and it was hard to use, especially in the beginning, even later on. But once I started dropping weight so fast, I cut my from 17. Now I'm down to 10, and I'm on an auto setting now. So I set my machine at what is it, like 0 to 10 or whatever that is, but that works great. I sleep fantastic at night, and it's just been wonderful to get it figured out finally. But I'm hoping to the point, because since I started carnivore, I have lost so much of my neck. I mean, almost have some definition, and there's almost an Adam's apple here. It's just, what in the world? I mean, now I can read. Now I can talk. I mean, I was a wreck, guys. I was a mess, absolute mess. I couldn't believe how bad I was. And then after I started losing the weight, and I started losing the weight by doing fasting, and then I worked into 24-hour fasting, and then I worked into intermittent fasting, and then doing OMAD, figuring out what OMAD was. I didn't even know what OMAD was. 1 meal a day, 24-hour fasting, whatever. I mean, it's just a word. It just says something different to make your brain think, it's OMAD, it's special. So it's all right. Sometimes we need those words, and sometimes it helps. It's very helpful to have certain titles, just like carnivore. What is carnivore when you break it down? It's technically a meat diet. I mean, you talk to a lot of these foreigners and you talk about carnivore, and the first thing out of their mouth, oh, you're doing the meat diet. Yep, that's basically it. And they're like, why do you call it carnivore? Whatever, doesn't matter. Like I said a long time ago, I'm not big into the titles and stuff like that. Now I do put carnivore in my titles of my videos because that's how people see things, and they can recognize and understand the topic real quick. But at some point, if I find something that works or something that I'm interested in, the censorship's going to come around in time, and it's just going to, there's people going to be fighting against it. There's a whole bunch of people online trying to tear down the carnivore community, and it's just growing. It's growing quicker because people are finding the benefits of carnivore. I saw something weird in the corner. I don't know what that. Oh, it's a little Hardy thing. Thank you. I don't understand how any of this stuff works, so I'm afraid to touch my computer. I'm afraid to type because I don't type well. I never have. I have these big giant paws, and they hit 3 buttons at a time, and yeah, it's just a bunch of gobbledygook. And even when I reply to your comments online, in the comment threads, or try to send you guys comments on your feeds, I usually have to edit it 3 times before I can put it out to you, and then I have to go back and edit it again because I might have accidentally fat fingered a button or something like that. But yeah, man, it's great to see you guys here. Let me check out on the CRIS. What is that? Gail, hi. No, I know it was mold toxicity in CIRS. You're talking about something. You guys have been having a great conversation here in the feed. I appreciate that, and I recognize every single one of you just about. I mean, I don't see anybody in here that I don't recognize from our daily chats online. And I like all you guys. I talk about you guys all the time. And Limitless Lindy, I just subscribed to her channel the other day. I mean, I knew she's been in the Carnivore Cure live feed, and I don't know how you guys upload those videos afterwards. It doesn't make any sense to me. And you make shorts out of them and stuff like that. That would be a great tool to know, but it's really hard to find people to collaborate with on these topics. You don't give yourself enough credit. You're doing good, man. Nobody's perfect. Oh, I appreciate that, Jamie. Jamie, you're awesome, dude. Now, this guy right here, he's a comedian, and we talked for a little while on the telephone. Actually, we talked for almost 2 hours on the telephone. This gentleman lives across the country. He reached out. He wanted a little bit of advice, a little bit of help. And, I'm not big on, giving out like, hey, you need to do this or you need to do that. Because like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not even certified as a health coach or anything like that. Although I'm thinking about it. The further I go along and the more I study this stuff, I'm thinking about it. And yeah, Jamie's been a wonderful guy. He checks in on me, at the weirdest times, which is the perfect time to check on me, which is the weirdest times. And it just makes me feel good. He's like, hey, buddy, what's up? Just feeling down in the moment. And then all of a sudden he pops up. There's a Lisa gal in here that I talked about earlier. There's a couple of them that have the name Lisa in their title there, their avatar title. And they do the same thing as well, just random times later in the week. Because, Monday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday to Wednesday is pretty busy for me, answering comments and responding to everybody that, comments on my videos, which is just absolutely amazing. And I love every bit of this. This is the point. I mean, making the videos is hard, but once the videos are done and they're out, it's all said and done. Everything's up. People are watching it, and then they're commenting about it and wanting to talk about things because I make a lot of mistakes in my videos, and I know you guys are catching these mistakes because sometimes I'll talk about something I did last week, which was actually the week before. And other times I'll talk about something and say the wrong word, like inflation instead of inflammation and silly things like that. I know you guys are catching it. You're laughing it off because I'm new at YouTube. And this is a transition. Me coming out and trying to be out here, just doing a live stream I had the most anxiety in the world about just going live today. Now, because all morning today, the first thing I did when I got up this morning is, I made my coffee. I'm sitting there, I'm looking outside, and there's snow on the ground. I had to go outside, shovel off the driveway, shovel the yard, because we have to shovel a path to our yard to get to our sheds and stuff like that. Now, that took me about 4 hours. In the meantime, I was cooking up 3 pounds of that pork belly bacon. Now, on the package, it said, I looked at the package. My wife bought another package of that. It says double thick sliced bacon on the package, and I was looking at it and I'm like, it doesn't say pork belly on here anywhere. But yeah, I was like, and that was a fun little short video that I made about the bacon, because it really surprised me. That was honest talking there. That was just me being me, saying, oh my goodness, it expands. I was excited. I was like, whoa, why is it getting bigger? I've never seen bacon get bigger when you put it in a pan, or pork belly. Doesn't matter. It's freaking delicious. And yeah, I love the stuff. And I think she got it at Costco. I'm going to have to ask her, because some of you guys have been asking, oh, where did you get that? That looks freaking great. And once it's all cooked up, I wouldn't make it crispy. If you get this stuff, just make it just before crispy. And it's kind of like eating a piece of beef jerky. It's amazing. And I usually eat about a half a pound before I can even get it all put away, because every time you put some out to drain out a little bit, you wind up just chewing on it. And I got to catch up on some of these. John, you have dimples. Yes, I do. Hope you could see those, because they're pretty deep. And I've had those since I was a kid. And a long, long time ago, when I was very young, I was very self-conscious about things like my dimples, because that brought on a lot of attention, especially from women and young girls. They thought it was cute. And I found it annoying, because I didn't feel like I was cute. I never felt like I was good looking. I never felt like I was anything special. And I never felt like I had an opinion for a long time. And it wasn't because of any one thing. It's just because when I was 2 years old, I was adopted. That did a lot of damage, because after knowing my kids when they were 2 years old, and I watched them around that age, because I was trying to figure myself out over the years. Every time I had a child, I was really focused on that child at 2 years old, because that's when I was just trying to imagine, like, hey, I see the connection between mom and daughter, or mom and son at that age. And I was just trying to imagine in my head what would go through their head if they were just sent somewhere else. Yeah, I wasn't a great child growing up. I mean, my adopted family was absolutely amazing. They took great care of me. They gave me everything I needed. They gave me more than I deserved, because I was a mad child. And, it took me many, many years to figure out just how mad I was. It wasn't until the last 10 years I finally figured out, yeah, I got a problem, and it's me. And it's not my biological mom. My biological mom lives here in Alaska. She's just that away. I got a lot of biological family here, but I grew up in New Hampshire, and I didn't like New Hampshire. I didn't like anything about it. Now, New Hampshire was a lot like Wasilla, Alaska was when I first moved up here. And I moved up here in about, I believe it was 2004, as I finally came up here. And I wasn't running up here for family. I wasn't running up here for to be closer to my mom. I wasn't, my brothers. I love the hell out of my brothers. My brothers are fantastic, even though I don't talk to them. And my sister and everybody else. And one of my grandmothers passed away of cancer. And the most involved in a family that I've really ever been is with my wife's family. And I'm still pretty detached. I sit at home a lot. I like right now, she's out there with family, and it's a good time for me to do what I need to do when it comes to trying to create one video a week at least. I try to get one video a week, my updates out, because some people are they're like, hey, you got your video coming, when you going to get it uploaded? And then this weekend was a little easier because my family was gone for the weekend. So I mean, I was up at 3:30 in the morning getting my weight over here on the scale with my cats doing their crazy stuff. And man, they're fun. Those cats are characters. I mean, I really dread the fact that I might someday become a cat channel, because they're just so entertaining. And I don't want to be a cat channel. Please don't make me do cat channel. I just like the random interactions the cats bring to the stage, because I don't train them to do anything. They're like, hey man, what are you doing? And I'm surprised one of them hasn't run across my desk right now, because I'm just used to the little one getting up here, because right behind the camera here on the computer, it's just a conglomeration of mess of wires and microphones and extra cameras and gear. But okay, let me see what's going on here. I'm just going on and on. This is weird. Oh, cute. Not what you're going for. I don't know what that means. Making funny mistakes just makes you human, my friend. Thank you, Goose. I appreciate that. One of the problems I've run into is autocorrect. Not so much here, but other places. I'll type one thing at a time. All the places. Oh, this is crazy. I've never been able, like I said, learning that I can actually read pretty fluently now has been a blessing. I mean, please don't make me be a cat channel. Yes, Gail, exactly. I don't want to be a cat channel. I love my cats. But could you imagine me chasing my cats around all day long with a freaking camera, just waiting for them to do stuff? I mean, they do a lot of stuff, and I have a lot of film of them doing stuff, but I just never had the creative mind to figure out how to put it all together. And at one point I was considering doing a cat channel, because our cats are just cats. They do stuff. They're fun. But yeah, I like their interaction, and I like when people comment and say, man, I love your cats, and how they do things. And this week's video, I don't know if everybody here might have watched it or not, but I put in the video some little boing sounds for when they jumped over my shoulder. Yeah, Dusty Bear did that twice. And, when they got on the scale, I made it added a little kissy sound. I was just trying to make it more interesting, because they do some fun stuff. So why not make it fun, like a kid's, YouTube video, because kids love all those crazy sound effects. John, have you tried gold panning in Alaska? Yes, I have absolutely tried gold panning in Alaska. There's gold mines all over Alaska. And this is the perfect time for, you guys to ask questions that I can answer. Let's see. I have to go. There's gold everywhere here. Okay. You can just get dirt, sift through it, and you're going to find some gold. It's just how Alaska is. You're not going to find a lot of gold. Now, if you can find the black sand, like up in some of the villages out on the seacoast, that stuff's pretty heavy in some gold content. But I learned a long time ago, because I'm a truck driver. I deliver a lot of equipment. So I've delivered a lot of equipment, supplies, and stuff like that to these gold mines. And I've watched these guys over purchase equipment and go bankrupt. So me running around chasing gold, flipping over dirt, looking for yellow rocks isn't really up my alley. If I go someplace and I just happen to see some, I might pan through a little bit, but it's not really a hobby for me. I'm not looking to get rich, looking for gold. I'm not looking to get rich on YouTube. I'm not looking to make money off of the viewers or anything like that, or even sell products. I'm not interested. I just turned down a couple of good deals here last week, and they could have made me a lot of money. I could be just fine, but we're humble. We own our stuff. We own our home. We own our cars. I go to work, and yeah, we're good. We're good. I mean, we could always do better. And that was another thing. I was trying to figure out about an hour before I started to go live. I was literally thinking about, like, okay, what if I actually start making money? What if these videos actually start producing some actual revenue? And it was just yesterday that my videos actually reached the $100 point, and that's the payout. So you can't get paid on YouTube unless you have at least 100. You acquired at least $100, and that took over a month to acquire. So it's, I'm not there where I could like make this a full-time living. I mean, I have some ideas on what I could do in the future, especially when I get older, or if I get injured. If I got injured on the job, man, I would be hammering out some videos with some incredibly important topics that I find important. And I'd be taking about 2 weeks to create each video, because any video that I've gotten that's got over 10,000 views is a 2 week production. So it's 1 week to actually produce all the research and ideas and stuff that I'm going to put into it, the transitions and how I'm going to talk. Now, I don't act, I speak naturally, but I like to have a particular tone of voice that people can relate to, because nobody likes to be talked to. We like to be talked with. So it's like, if I'm being very upfront, like, hey, you need to do this, that's not fun, is it? I mean, maybe it is. Some people might find that enjoying, but I try to relate to everybody that's in my audience, and it's literally just that. Because if I can do that, I'm just being my honest self. Because if we were to sit across the table, just like now, you're not going to get anybody else. You're just going to get this guy. The only thing you're going to get differently is a little bit of cussing, because we cuss. It's a family that cusses. I just refrain from that. And I had to remind myself that before I hit the live stream. But yeah, I try to keep it clean. I try to keep everything respectful. The one thing we don't do in this home or this family is we don't say the Lord's name in vain. And I don't know why every single movie out there has to say the Lord's name in vain. It's like they're just testing you to see if you'll just click off or something like that. Let's see, Fred Merrier. I really wish I had a button here so I could mirror the screen, because it looks weird. I'm looking over here and you guys are, it's backwards. Have you tried gold panning? Let's see. Okay, you're inspiring me to start my own channel and share my journey too. Shaping Fred. I don't know if you're new or not. I don't recognize. You have a very distinct, what do you call that? Your avatar is very distinct. I don't recognize that one. Welcome. It's nice to meet you, Shaping Fred. And hopefully, yeah, if you have a story to tell, right now is the best time to do it, because people are relating to each other, especially if you're in this age range, pretty close to Gen X or just outside Gen X a little bit. I say that a lot because, we are what's keeping this country going. Because I'm sorry, this new generation, even what we're making as children, boy, once we're gone, we're the guys that touch stuff. We're the guys that fix stuff. We're the guys that see a problem, fix it, and make it better in a quick amount of time. And then when I watch these new work crews that are coming out with these younger guys, they're not into touching stuff. They're not into getting their hands dirty or being down in the trenches with a shovel and getting all covered in mud. They want to be sitting in that piece of equipment up high on the bank watching everybody else do the dirty work. And you got to have people down in the trenches that know what they're doing. You can't just hire ding dongs to work down there. You got to have people, that are willing to work their way up, through all the jobs that are out there. And I've done a lot of jobs in my life. I've done so many jobs that I just can't imagine how people just stick with one job their entire life. Now, my longest running job, which I've been doing for over 2 decades, is truck driving. But that's not saying that I didn't dip out and try to not drive trucks, and I tried to do something else for a little while. Now, it doesn't matter what I do. Like when I'm doing YouTube, I started out at YouTube, and I was set up this channel just for my child, because I thought at one point he said he wanted to be a YouTuber. I'm like, okay, well, I got some money. I'm just going to throw it into some investments, which is our laptops or cameras. And then all of a sudden it turned into this. I have over $10,000 in gear for recording videos, recording audio. I'm never satisfied with my audio. It doesn't matter what microphone I buy, how many wires and how many adapters. I just don't. I'm really, really finicky on audio, and I'm finicky on image quality. Like this image that you guys are looking at right now drives me insane, because it's pixelated to me. I mean, it looks like an Atari, but it's what I have to work with. I tried getting I'm not tech savvy, so I tried getting my GoPro set up as a webcam. I don't know how to do that. I need a babysitter to come here and be like, this is what you do, little boy. You can do this, and I'll get it figured out. A friend of mine that I've become friends with, and she's doing her own weight loss journey. She gave me some tips on a software called StreamYard. Now I looked in the StreamYard, I had it all set up, I had my account ready to go, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, it's telling me to do stuff, and I'm like, you don't have any obvious indicators on what I'm supposed to do or how I'm supposed to get this hooked up to my YouTube channel. And so I'm just streaming straight through YouTube. I figured that's the easiest way to get started. And how long have we gone here? We've gone, no way. We've gone 55 minutes into this. That is absolutely nuts. Huh. Okay. Well, that's typically how long I record my videos for, but I trim them down to about a half an hour because my computer can only handle the processing for a video that's pretty close to a half an hour, 45 minutes. I did try to do a video one day of almost an hour, and it just pretty much catches my computer on fire. It makes it work too hard. So I can't do these really, really long videos. I need a lot more money wrapped up in my technology in order to do huge videos. And I also need more storage capacity to create the videos that are actually going to produce views and that you're actually going to retain your attention more than 3 minutes. Because that was when I first started, I couldn't get over that 3-minute mark for retention on anybody. So my retention meter was down to like minute 30 seconds at times because I wasn't doing my job. I didn't know how to build a video correctly. And I hope I'm doing okay now because I do get a lot more interaction, and I would much rather have the interaction than a huge amount of views. So, and I explained this to another channel today. Me and her were talking back and forth. I was like, I look at you guys like 80 people in a room. So I might have almost 2,000 subscribers right now, but I don't look at 2,000 people. I'm looking at 80 of you that come back, and I might see you every week, or I might visit you on your channels, or I might visit you in your live streams. You are the 80 people that I make the videos for. That way it's not overwhelming for me and my brain thinking like, oh, I'm trying to make a video now for 5,000 people. That's a lot of pressure for a new guy. And I'm the new guy. And I'm just trying to, figure all of this out. Trying not to step on too many toes, but I'm trying to step on enough toes just to, ruffle some feathers once in a while. Because I see some stuff going on. And you all do. And I know most of you keep your mouth shut about a lot of things you see, which is probably what I should do at times. So I might just take a step back from trying to step on toes and just work with what I have. But let's see what we got here now. You guys have been having it's going to take me hours to read through all this after the feed's over. Wow. Are you out dancing? You must be talking to someone. I pray people can figure out this dementia thing. It's terrible. This whole carnivore thing and just low carb in general. Now, I'm not just going to lump all of this into just carnivore, because when I was doing keto and I was doing ketovore, and now I've been focused more along the lines of carnivore. But if I were to define what I'm doing, I would be closer to ketovore, because I do accept a lot of vegetables, some sauces, some sugar at times. But here's the thing. With all of it, keto included, carnivore, just lump this all together, there is a huge change just by getting rid of the processed foods. We know this now. And getting rid of all of the garbage, the sugar, and all the snacking and the vegetable oils. Holy cow, I am super sensitive to vegetable oils. Like instant inflammations. Like I wear slip-on shoes, and sometimes my feet hurt if I get anywhere close to vegetable oils or seed oils. Now, my wife made some eggs for the kids the other day, and she uses canola oil to make the eggs. So, yeah, I'm not sure if she used that or she used the avocado oil. But, I mean, I was really turning my cogs trying to figure out which oil did she use and how am I going to feel in the next hour to 2 hours, because it takes about that long for any inflammation at all to start acting up. And now that I've been without for so long, it's really hard to take in any type of seed oils whatsoever. I'm afraid to touch anything on my computer right now because I just don't want to mess this up, Jamie. I mean, I'll read through all of this later, but yeah, I mean, I love how you guys can just sit here and listen to me babble, and I don't know if you're paying attention to me or not, but this just this comment thread. Everybody's getting along, just hanging out and doing their own thing. That's beautiful. I just love how you guys are just chatting it up, getting to know each other. You might already know a lot of people that are in here. So keto is a no-go for me, but in the end, it's all about portion control and amount of calories. Um, okay, Fred, shaping Fred, what what are you doing? I mean, I'm kind of curious. You got me curious now. If keto doesn't work for you, carnivore is keto. I mean, it's not technically keto, but it's like a form of keto or getting yourself in ketosis. So I'm not sure if you're meaning like just regular keto. That didn't work for me. I tried regular keto. I tried doing keto friendly options. No bueno. And like the other day, I did a short video on some of these gluten free products at Walmart that are pretty expensive for like 4 buns. You're paying over $1 per gluten free bun, and they have wood pulp in them. And I'm like, why do they have? Why does so many things have cellulose? I mean, cellulose is wood pulp, and my question is it pine or is it birch? I mean, what kind of wood pulp are you putting in this food? Because that's important to me. Because pine has a specific flavor and birch has a different flavor, so you might as well just be honest. Let's see here. You'll find your way shaping Fred. All right. I eat whole wheat products with my protein and veggies to get more filling meals. Well, I'm not out here to shame anybody that's doing anything. And shaping Fred, if this is working for you, I mean, I'm proud of you as long as you found something that worked. Now, if I were to add any whole grains into my body, I would have an issue. My body would have an issue. It would be telling me, screaming, stop, don't do this anymore. And that's just from my perspective. Now, I don't see why some breads and some grains can't be allowed in a relatively healthy diet. But if things are limited to where they're not causing you inflammation and you're living a healthy lifestyle and you're not super sensitive to these grains, because if I were to eat a little bit of grains right now, my feet would swell and it would be uncomfortable for 3 days. It's that weird how. But there are some other breads out there. Ezekiel bread, man. It's expensive. It's found in the frozen food aisle. I would highly recommend Ezekiel bread to anybody that has a real bread addiction, because it gives you everything you need as far as making you feel like you're eating bread, but it's a live grain bread or something like that. But it's just absolutely amazing. It's some of the best bread I've ever had. Especially when I got started, I was eating Ezekiel bread with turkey and cheese and all kinds of stuff, put tuna fish on it. And it's better if it's toasted, like a lot toasted, like really almost burnt. You just got to toast it. But Ezekiel bread, that was a great way to start kicking off the traditional type bread. So it doesn't give you that crazy carb high either. And that sugar rush. Okay. What's with all the retracted messages here? Ancient wheat is much better than modern. Yes, I would agree with that. Mama Cracker. Nice to meet you, Mama Cracker. I don't believe I recognize that name. But yeah, it's great to see all these new names. Now, Carl D. Amato. I don't recognize that name either, but that's okay. Now, let's see. Juice cleanse with my carnivore regimen. That's interesting. Now, let's talk a little bit about juices and carnivore. I did talk about a time where I had an adverse reaction to apples. Now, for some reason, and I get these crazy fruit cravings once in a while, like because I have them typically off to the side, usually off camera, pretty close to the cat food. Quite often there'll be bananas, apples, oranges, and stuff like that. Now, once in a while, it's really hard for me to stay away from apples, and apples have always triggered me to go in this almost like diabetic response. Let's see, one day I got into 2 of these little tiny apples. They're called like rocket apples, and they're sold at Walmart and all the grocery stores here. There's little tiny apples, red apples from Washington, and they come up on the boat. I had 2 of those, and it hit me really hard, and I couldn't figure it out. So after I woke up after 3 or 4 hours of being in a coma, but I was asleep. Mom got home, the kids were like, she's like, "Where's dad?" And they're like, "He's passed out in bed." And I didn't know I was asleep for solid for almost 3 or 4 hours. And then I got up and I'm like, wow, what did I eat? Oh, I ate those apples. So then I started doing a little bit of research. And, once you've been without a lot of sugars and grains and carbs and stuff like that, your liver changes a little bit. So if I were to go out, I'm also thinking if I were to go out now and drink like a 6 pack of beer, I might have a problem with that because I'm not adapted to any type of sugar intake or anything like that. But the apples knocked me out. Now, a couple weeks after that, I did have some apples and I was just fine. So some days it's fine, and other days it just knocks me down. So yeah, I mean, if they work for you, that's great. Juicing has a lot of sugar and it has a lot of other stuff going on there. But if juicing works, I mean, I've done juicing before in the past, and it did have a lot of benefits. I can't argue that it doesn't work for some people because I've seen it work for a lot of people. Green apples, less sugar. Thank you, Jan. I appreciate that. Shaping Fred, I decided that day, so I stuck with the decision, meat only, but my cravings got me a few times. Let's talk about cravings. Yeah. So, okay, I had an issue, and Lily Kane was the one that brought this up, but she was talking about the sugar cravings, especially after eating something like a salad. Now, for I don't know how many years of my life, I thought that if you wanted to lose weight, eat more salad, and it doesn't matter. We're going to wreck the salad. We're going to wreck it with all kinds of stuff. And yeah, great. All right, we're going to put you up in here because people like you they like you. This is the one that likes to hurt me because she's a moody little cat. That's Molly. She's done. She's already had enough attention for today. But let's see. I totally lost my train of thought now that the cat jumped in there. That's weird. I usually keep on rolling with it. Oh, salads. Lily Kane brought up the topic of salads and why we have a sugar cravings or carb cravings immediately after eating a salad, because salads don't fill us up. Now, I could stuff myself full of vegetables and it still won't fill me up. So my brain's sending a trigger, to tell me that I need to eat something. Now I'm unable to recognize that trigger, and I go to get some carbs or I go to get some sugars or something like that, when the trigger is actually telling us that we need more protein, and we're just misreading the signal at times. And that's just happens. And it's just amazing how she brought that up, and it was so clear. Wow, you make a lot of sense. And this is why I like Lily Kane, and I talk to her whenever I can in the thread, and we talk back and forth a little bit. But I would really like to pick her brain, and if her husband has a YouTube channel, I would like to know about it, because I know her husband is really involved in what Lily's doing, and I think he would be a great asset on the platform as well, especially someone to follow or talk to, because he lives in the house with the woman, and she's always busy doing stuff, making new stuff, and she makes great points. Glad you're not judging towards other weight loss methods, though, as we want to achieve the same goal. Absolutely, Shape and Fred. I've had problems with vegans in the past, and that was growing up on the East Coast. Now, when I grew up on the East Coast, we were all pre-programmed for a period of time, especially through our school age, to, lean more towards, Democrats and stuff like that. And, political aspects, I'm not going to try to bring that up here, but, a lot of that led to people turning like instantly vegetarian, and because they were influencing the children, and children are easily influenced. I was easily influenced too. I mean, I was a very confused child when it came to politics, because my parents said they were independent. They typically voted Democrat, and they raised me with conservative values. So when I try to explain my political beliefs of how I'm an independent, is I'm politically bipolar, because I don't understand why there's such an argument between both of them, because we got your Republicans here, we got your Democrats here, and we all poop. There's no difference. They can't get together and just figure out stuff and fix this dang country, because it's a mess. I mean, I wish they would fix it. But yeah, I do not judge on anybody's way of losing weight, because yeah, literally this whole carnivore thing came to me completely by accident. I didn't start doing this because I saw a crowd of people and they were doing some amazing things. I was the biggest skeptic of carnivore that you could probably have. And I'm just like, you know what? I tried keto, didn't really work. I had issues with keto. I was having problems with just doing keto. Now, like I said before, I started with fasting. Now, when I first started fasting, I mean, I was off like a rocket. I mean, I'm losing water weight just like that. I'm losing weight. And my doctor brought up a point right away. He's like, is this sustainable? And that got my cogs working. You know, as I'm starting to get healthier, my brain's starting to work a little better. And I'm starting to recognize there's some issues with forever fasting. Now, fasting on specific holidays and occasions or to fix something that you might have going on, absolutely. Super powerful. And like my first fast, it was done in a reason to actually just get my metabolism working again, because I needed to get my metabolism working again. And it was broken. I had no metabolism. I didn't sweat. I didn't nothing. It was just there was nothing there. I had no way of losing weight. I was still, carving it up with just I get a pizza like every other day. I'd order Papa John's. I'd order from like 12 different pizza places here in town. And I was just wrecking it. Pizza was bad. You give me a pizza and I will fight you for the pizza. That was how bad I was. I would like wrestle my kids to get the last slice of pizza. And I get mad at them if they ate the last slice of pizza before I got home, because ads will run shortly for some viewers. I don't know what that does. I'm sorry if you're going to see an ad, but it says you're going to see an ad, and that's not my fault. But it's just YouTube doing what YouTube does. So it doesn't really give me a break, does it? No, I don't think so. But I don't know. That's how we make a little bit of revenue here, doing these things. And it's just, I guess it's just how it is. And hopefully you guys, it's a clickable ad. Maybe you can click off on it in 3 or 4 seconds. That would be beautiful. Tilo, I used to do that. You competed against myself until I had a big crash. Oh, wow. 16K steps away a day. That's a lot of steps a day. 16K steps a day. Whew. How many miles is that? That's a lot. Huh. See, this is what I like about the community that's been, coming this way. We're not bashing people for what they do. Now, I see in some other threads where these guys are like, oh, you ate a tomato. How dare you? It's like, I don't want to gather people that do that stuff to one another, because that's not the way I believe. I lost a lot of weight eating only eggs. And I had people telling me I was going to die. I was going to have a heart attack. And it was just, I was laughing about it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. I've been eating so many freaking eggs my entire life. If I was going to die from eating eggs, I would have died when I was 20. But yeah, and bacon. I mean, since I started doing carnivore, I've eaten so many pounds of bacon. I'm losing weight. I'm always told I'm doing it wrong. I'm always told that's not healthy. I'm going to die. It's like, well, nothing's happened yet. I'm okay. I'm doing good. I don't feel like I have high blood pressure. I don't feel the hypertension in my face anymore that I used to have. I need to get to the doctor and do some blood work and figure out a couple things, but nothing major. Everything's feeling pretty good. And I am a little excited about seeing what my blood work would show. That would make an interesting video. I see a lot of these people making these blood work videos, and they're just like 500,000 views. I'm like, how do you guys make videos that get 500,000 views? I don't get it. It's just, I haven't figured that part out yet. I'm working on it. And so far I'm getting somewhat better. I'm trying to get better. And it doesn't matter what I do. If I do videos, I'm always trying to strive to do the next step, trying to get a little better. So, I mean, my dream would be to have a studio here in town. If I could ever have a dream, and I would have a studio that I could rent out, so other creators could come down, really inexpensive, like maybe 25, $50 an hour. You can come in, you can use all the equipment. You damage something, you buy it. But yeah, it would be just a great space for people to come in and make their own stuff in a really nice, fancy, enclosed area with no distractions, no kids running around, no dogs. And I commend all of the mothers out there making content, everybody that can do this with tons of distractions and kids in the room and noises in the house. That's amazing. I have a hard time with that. This is typically why I do my best work when nobody's in the house, because I'm just focused head down in the computer. I'm just working on it, and I usually have a plan before I get started. I don't do blood work. Heck, I don't even know my type. I'm a cracker. Yeah, nice, Fred. Is it Professor Bart K? Yeah, I can't keep up with you guys. You guys are having fun in here. All right, 1,000. Okay, 10,000 steps for me is 10 kilometers. Oh, yeah, if I only knew how far a kilometer was. I know it's kind of close to a mile. That's the disadvantage of living in the United States. We use miles. You guys use kilometers and kilos, and yeah, we use pounds, and then you guys, your money is pound. I don't get why there's so much difference around the world with these different things. I wish we were all in the metric system and everything was just normal. But no, you got like 3/4 and 5/8 and 12/16 and silly nonsense like that over here. Just makes everything hard. Okay, 6.2 miles. Thank you, Goose. I appreciate that. Okay, just subscribe to check it out later. Thank you. I'm guessing you're talking to me. Oh, hey there, Northern Corruption Monitor. I appreciate you dropping in. Yeah, great. Like I said, man, I've been trying to talk to Northern Corruption Monitor in person for I don't know how long. He's an impossible guy for me to get a hold of, and he's here in Alaska. But I wanted to learn how to do live stream before going live stream, seeing what he did and how he got set up. And it obviously isn't that hard. I just had a lot of anxiety wrapped around it. Out on Copwatch, just covered a house fire. Oh no! Are you in Anchorage? Or are you out in Wasilla or Palmer somewhere? See, I don't even know where you're based out of. But yeah, I got pulled over for speeding, and then it turned into I was running a red light, and then all of a sudden it was like, yeah, I was told I was getting a speeding ticket, and then I got a red light ticket. Now, if you're in a truck, a big truck, that's typically not a good thing because you can only get like one more red light ticket in a year, and you lose your license. So I'm going to try to go to court and hope for the best because it's just an ethical thing. I couldn't plead guilty to something I didn't believe that happened, and I don't believe I ran the red light. But anyhow, long story short there. Hey, you have slow-mo on. Apparently I do. I don't know how to change settings yet. I haven't graduated to that level yet. So, and I'm afraid to touch anything because I'm afraid I'm going to just screw up the entire stream here. Well, let's see. I do need to take a nap soon. It's 1 o'clock. I will be hauling snow tonight, and that starts about 8 o'clock at night. So I'm going to need to get about 3 or 4 hours in before I go to work at night. And I'll be hauling snow on a side dump. And this is kind of what we do here in Alaska. Is when we haul gravel during the day, and then at nighttime we're hauling snow. And it's been snowing pretty steady for the last couple of days. Oh, 65 degrees in California doesn't sound too bad, as long as it's not humid. I lived in Joplin, Missouri for a while, and that humidity down there was just, no. I mean, I loved all the outlet stores in Joplin, Missouri. I loved a lot of the people and the churches and the community and stuff like that, although it's getting pretty overran with drugs and stuff like that. Now, there were some crazy drug issues going on in Joplin, Missouri before I left. There was like this nasty drug going around that would just make people just up and start killing their entire family and walk out in the street naked and shoot themselves in the middle of the street. I don't know why that's never publicized on the news or anywhere around the country, but it happened there like once a month. It was nuts. It's like, wow, at least it's on the other side of the county line. Hopefully it stays over there. Many people have posted videos about their blood work. Key considerations are getting enough fat and being aware of the potential effects. Now, cholesterol. I have an opinion on cholesterol. It's probably something that's already been talked about, but cholesterol is natural. I mean, we had cholesterol before, we even knew what caused heart attacks. Now, if you take, high cholesterol diet and you mix it in with the standard American diet, you're going to have some problems because that stuff's not supposed to be in your body. So now when your cholesterol gets high and you're eating garbage, you're going to get plaquing. You're going to get plaquing of the veins. You're going to be creating problems inside your bloodstream because you're just adding in all this stuff that your body doesn't know what to do with. High fructose corn syrup, especially, man, that stuff's dangerous. If I had my way, I would make that stuff illegal. High fructose corn syrup, seed oils, and stuff like that. Stuff that we can do better. I mean, as just for ourselves, we already know we can do better. That's why we're already working on it. And it's just all this stuff that I see my kids eat. My wife's eating some stuff, and it's just like, wow, guys, slow down a little bit. You don't know what you're doing to yourself, because some of this stuff can turn to an irreversible point at some point, and then you're really sending out the maydays trying to figure out, how to fix this or how to fix cancer. Cancer, man, prostate cancer has ravaged this entire country in the last 15 to 20 years. And I've watched, like I said, I used to deliver medication. I used to take care of these people, and I would visit them from time to time, and I'd ask them what did you used to eat for a diet? And they would tell me, and it was just horrible stuff. Lots of sugar, lots of sugar. And, meanwhile, while they're struggling with the cancer, they're just sitting there, they're drinking soda pop. And I'm like, you're giving it exactly what it wants. It wants that sugar. And if it's high fructose corn syrup, that's like giving cancer a steroid to eat you. That's crazy. It's like, get away from the sugar, get away from the carbs. Don't feed it, because cancer loves three main things. It loves sugar, it loves stress, and it loves lack of oxygen. That's the three things cancer thrives on: lack of oxygen, stress, and sugar. If we just take those three things away, we're going to have a lot better chance of surviving if we do get cancer and stuff like that. I have a buddy, a real close friend of mine. He's suffering with prostate cancer. I think he's beaten it. And he's the one that steered me towards a carnivore type lifestyle. He was, if he could have shook me, he would have shook me through the phone when he was having conversations. And it's like, because I was just trying to wrap my head around the whole thing, because I was having a hard time with carnivore when I started. He's like, seriously, just eat meat. That's all you have to do is eat meat. And, coming from a really, really unhealthy lifestyle and being morbidly obese, it was extremely hard for me to just break it down that simply. And I try to break things down simply for other people, but there were a lot of hurdles for me to even get this far with not 100% carnivore all the time, because I'll just one day I'll eat that cauliflower pizza, and it is better than the traditional pizza I used to eat. That's for sure. And I'm still losing weight in that week. That's always nice to see. Now, I don't think I would have been losing as much weight if I was still eating, full large pizzas. Now I could eat a full large cauliflower pizza, the crappy ones from Costco that people say don't get those. They got a lot of ingredients in them, but I'm still dropping 2 to 3 pounds during the weeks that I'm eating that. And it's not all the time either, but it's just, I love pizza. It's so hard to get away from that addiction. Just bad pizza is still good pizza. I mean, it's just when you're had your mind wrapped around pizza for so many years, and I've worked at several pizza places over the years, part-time or here and there. And I loved it. I mean, it was just so much fun just building them and cooking them and eating them and snacking on them. But man, yeah. So healthier alternatives. Now that chicken crust pizza, that carnivore chicken crust pizza I made, that was good. That was filling. 2 slices, I was done. I mean, it didn't matter what was on top of it. I was like, oh, okay. Normally I'd be eating, at least the whole pizza that size. I would eat that. If it was made of bread and dough, I would eat at least that size. And it hurts my brain, because when you take a ball of pizza dough, it's that. And now you're putting it in here in your gut, and all the ingredients that go on top of that equal, at least another ball on top of this ball. And now you're putting that food baby in your gut. How dangerous is that? And then trying to just make all that work out the other end somehow. I don't miss pizza too, but where I live, pizza isn't really a thing. Well, you're lucky, because I mean, if you're like me and addicted to pizza, it's hard to stay away from. When I grew up on the East Coast, we had a lot of steak and cheese places. Now, East Coast steak and cheese, if anybody lives over that way, you know what I'm talking about. Those steak and cheeses are the best. And there was one place in Joplin, Missouri. and the guy that used to sell these steak and cheeses there was from the East Coast. And he made me a steak and cheese one day, and I took one bite, and I'm like, "Oh, brother, I know where you're from." And he's like, "Oh yeah, really? Where am I from?" I said, "You're from back east, because nobody makes a steak and cheese this good unless you're from back east." And because I went to another restaurant, and a friend of mine was visiting in Joplin, and she ordered a steak and cheese, and she got like this chicken fried steak on a burger bun with a slap of freaking American yuck cheese on top, and it was so funny. And she's just looking at it like, I feel like an idiot. And I was like, it's okay. I said I had a hard time adjusting too when I got here, but yeah. Okay, now I know it's not going to. Try that out, Julia. Hey, that. I die. Okay. Downside, I don't have pizza, but I live. Okay, Sharping Fred. You guys are having a great time in here. That's awesome. I thank you guys for coming in here today and joining me. I really thought I would be talking to this right here, right there. I thought I would talk to 0 people. I thought I would have nobody in the room, nobody interacting. It shows 17 people in here. Is that correct? 13 likes. All right. Who's the other ones that didn't like the video? All right. Which ones are you? You admit it. Just hit that like button. That helps super much, man. I mean, that's the easiest way to push anybody through is just hit that like button, even if you don't like everything. Oh, somebody unliked. What? You guys are funny. Okay. I saw that. It went from 15 to 4. Oh, you're funny. Stop that. You're teasing me now. This is your way of picking on me from way over there. But here's the funny thing is, if I don't like a person, I don't pick on them. So I make fun of myself all the time. So that means I like myself. But if I like you and I'm like being annoying on your channel by saying like smart aleck kind of stuff, that means I like you. I mean, I find your stuff interesting. I find you interesting enough to leave a smart aleck comment because I know what that does. I know what that does for the algorithm. I know what that does for your feed. And I know that you're hopefully going to take it with a grain of salt and you're just going to come back and say something back and we can just yuck it up together. That's what I hope for, at least, because I don't jump into anybody's thread ever and just try to be a total disruptor. But if there is something obvious that needs to be pointed out, I'm that guy. I'm just going to be like, hey, man, if Dr. Berg said something off or, Shafee said something weird, there's these other 2 goofy doctors. I don't even know if they're doctors. They just wear the clothes, I think. But they say some of the weirdest stuff. And I'm like, you guys are just so off base and not even close. And I'll say that. I'll just be like, hey, man, you might want to go research that a little bit better because you shouldn't be selling this stuff on the internet because that's dangerous. Yeah. Anyways. All right, guys, I just want to say I care about you all. Thank you for being here. I do need to end this stream here. We're looking at about an hour and a half. That is a marathon for me. I enjoyed this. I want to do this more. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be random events because I don't really have a good way of scheduling live streams. But it was a lot of fun. I did get a lot of this information out. I did get to talk about a lot of things I wanted to go over, especially sleep apnea. Now, I do have a sleep apnea channel following, and I do appreciate all those people too because they came from a while back. When I was having, I started building this channel and stuff like that, and they're important to me too, and the stuff that they've gone through along with me at the same time, I mean, it just bends my brain, especially when it comes to the Philips Respironics deal. And then now I'm finally starting to get my weight figured out. And I really love sharing with all of you guys. And I love learning about what you guys are going through. And I don't know if Carnivore Cure is still in the room, but that guy, he has got one of the most amazing stories that I want to hear more of. And I don't see him making regular videos now because he's gotten more along on the lines of the live streams, and those live streams seem to be doing him pretty well. But yeah, I think his story is just absolutely amazing, just along with several other people's stories out there. I just want to hear about the truth, everybody's truth, your struggles, your your fears, your wants, your needs, where you want to be in the next year, 2 years. I didn't expect I would be here like looking like this in what is it, 29 weeks? No, 30 weeks. That was my 30-week video I just posted. But I didn't think I would look like this in 30 weeks. I had no idea it was even possible to look like this in 30 weeks without starving. That's another thing. Fasting and starving are two totally different things. I'm going to save that for a different day. That's going to be something I'm going to talk about. The difference between fasting and starvation diets. It's pretty obvious. You guys already know, but it's something I need to put out there for even more people that might be interested in the topic. But I want to thank you all for being here, and I hope literally to see you in the next one. I'm going to do my little cheesy like, yeah. All right, guys. Have a great night. I'm going to figure out what to do after this live stream's over because I don't know how to tidy this up or do anything else with it. Maybe you guys can help me out with that later. But I got to stop this. I got to get something to drink. I'm really thirsty. And yeah, okay. See you in the next one. Your stream will stop immediately and you will no longer be live. Hit end. All right. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later now that I'm figuring out what these buttons are for.